Please join us in welcoming the guy, Kyle Ozier.
We're all guests here. Frankly, before anyone on the planet knew that Earth was a planet, there were people living here who the native inhabitants found spirit in Mother Earth and Father Sky and the flora and fauna with which they were surrounded and from which they got their sustenance. The indigenous Americans, the native people, have had a relationship with the spirit world for centuries. And the local spiritual keeper of the keys to this kingdom is the Duwamish tribe. It is this tribe from whom we request permission to be here. It is this tribe to whom we pledge to conduct ourselves with respect and honor. And with that, I'd like to introduce to you the head of the Duwamish tribe. She has been the leader of the tribe since 1975. Audience, Cecile Hansen.
Okay. Wow. Thank you, Kyle, for the introduction and inviting me to your tea party. Kyle, I know what that means, so I had to say that as I was preparing my words. Genocide is the indigenous people, especially the first signers of the Point Elliott Treaty, most disturbing and unfair to the Indian people, Duwamish. Duwamish means the people of the inside. Our tribe signed this treaty by our chief in 1855, giving up 54,000 acres, which is Seattle today. It's unfortunate that the federal government, and you all know what the federal government is, they did not fulfill the promises to the Duwamish tribe, signing this treaty in 1855. They said they would give us a reservation, that they would take care of our health, housing, education. They did not fulfill the promises. Although our leaders from 1855 went back to D.C. advocating for the promises of the Point Elliott Treaty. And it never happened. However, they decided to settle with our tribe in 1974. Who could prove who they were Duwamish tribe? I don't know why any Indian person or anybody in this world has to prove who they are. But in 1971, we all received $64 for the city of Seattle. And I didn't go to Europe, but I did go buy some groceries for my family. So that's what I did. Anyway, it's an honor to represent this tribe. I was just minding my own business, raising my family. My brother, who came to my house and said he was being cited by the Washington State Fisheries for fishing in the Duwamish River. And he said, he calmed down, and he said, you know what? I said, what? He said, you ought to get involved. This is 1974. I said, well, what do I have to do? And he said, oh, just go to a few meetings. Well, I did go to a few meetings, but I started working with the former chair, Willard Bill, and I decided, well, this is about the issue of having the right to fish in the Duwamish River. So that's what I decided. I would work with the Department of Fisheries and elders and people at that time and the former chair, and we battled that struggle. But however, what happened is that they took away the fishing rights from our tribe. When I got involved, there was about 13 tribes in this Puget Sound, all the way up to the Canadian border, who were fighting to correct their status. And like I said before, I don't know why any human being, if you sign a treaty with the federal government, they should honor it. So I have not gave up. I'm still, even though we went to losing the fishing rights, there was some rules that if we could prove these 7 criteria and present a petition to the federal government, then we could prove who we are. Well, we did that. It took us about 20 years, but in 2001, I got a phone call from D.C. on the last day of Clinton administration, and this man, I think his name was Mr. Anderson, he said, we have decided to recognize you. Well, on Monday, I got a phone call, or we got a fax from the Bush administration to put a hold on that decision and took our acknowledgement away. So we're now on appeal, and we've been advocating to overturn that decision. But we're hanging in there, and even though you don't see us visibly all over the place, because there's over 600 members, and we're assimilated when we're very educated, and we know what's right and what's wrong, as my mother used to say to me. Another thing, and I thought of my mother today. Tomorrow is her birthday, and when she told me when I was in junior high school, she said, "You know what? You were related to the chief." Well, I knew what she said, chief. So the chief is Chief Seattle. And these settlers, which really irritates me, decided to name the city after our chief. So it's Seattle. So that's how it got its name, after our chief. And then my mother said that, I'm related to the chief. So I'm like the great, a lot of greats to the chief. So I'm honored to be related to the chief. And I'm honored to be Duwamish and to actively to represent the tribe and come and share a few words with you. And I want to share one other thing, because we had a couple of good days, and then what happened? The rain came in. So I want to share this one at Little Wisdom. It says, "The power of the waterfall is nothing but a lot of drips working together." And I like that, so I like to share that every once in a while. And then I want to share this thing too. In prayer, it is better to have a heart without words rather than words without a heart. And this is by Mahatma Gandhi. He shared that. What a wonderful words for all of us. And I hope that you have a wonderful day, or days. I don't know if you're going to, I understand, I met some folks last night. They're from all over the place. And that you have a wonderful stay here in Seattle. And over here in 4th and Denny is the chief, so you can go over there and go like this. When we do our farewell, we raise our hands, both our hands, to say we care and we welcome you and come again. And I'm glad that I'm here, even though I was sort of late. But in Indian time, if you're late, it's just Indian time, Thank you very much. Thank you for listening to my words.